Alright, guys, it's time. Let's talk about that ending. So, I was originally going to wait until after the playthrough was over to do this, but everyone else is uploading their spoiler video, and I really just want to talk about it. So guys, if you have not finished the game or are waiting for my playthrough, please, I implore you, wait until you're finished and then come back, because there will be major spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake, the original Final Fantasy VII, and Crisis Core in this video. That out of the way, let's talk about this ending. The ending was shocking, ridiculous, and a lot of people think forced and unnecessary. It is going to piss a lot of people off. So, I'm going to summarize. After we escape from Shinra in this amazing motorcycle escape sequence, which is almost exactly the same and is exactly where we all assumed the game was going to end, when out of nowhere, Sephiroth. Everything stops. Sephiroth invites us to challenge fate and goes through this portal, where Aerith suddenly knows everything about the Whispers and says Sephiroth is the greatest threat to this world and needs to be stopped. She's not wrong, but where she's getting this information from is never explained. Now, before we go into this portal, let's talk about what led up to this moment. The Whispers are this new element introduced in this game where, I called it from the very beginning, these things are here to keep the player from doing anything that would contradict the original game. They're probably going to do something with this toward the end, and I called it. The second I saw them both protecting and hurting the player, I called it. The interesting bit, it seems this version of Sephiroth has the power to defy them of his own free will and uses them more for his own purposes, possibly leaving Cloud to challenge Sephiroth earlier than intended. Maybe the Sephiroth has knowledge of his future, as Cloud has also been getting visions of the future at this point. The thing about this that's interesting to me, Chapter 16 has Sephiroth showing Cloud a future in which he succeeded.
Sephiroth.
The thing that's extremely interesting to me about this, I think this was Sephiroth's plan all along. Sephiroth knew the true future that Cloud would ultimately defeat him and stop Meteor, but the vision he shows the party is a completely different story. He essentially tricked Cloud into defying fate at the end of the game, which leads to Cloud destroying the Whispers and the future once again becoming a blank slate. I believe this was all done purposely by Sephiroth to change his own future and defy fate on his own, because as we know from the original game, what Cloud fought at the end was likely not the real Sephiroth, just an apparition or one of the many Sephiroth clones. Maybe Sephiroth pulled a Mass Effect 2 and assumed direct control, but there is no chance that is the real Sephiroth in my eyes. Plus, it was also an excuse to give us an amazing fight with Sephiroth with an incredible new version of One-Winged Angel playing. This fight was pure fan service and forced, but I don't care, I absolutely loved it. But my theory for the lead up out of the way, let's talk about the actual ending. Cloud defeats Sephiroth in this amazing callback to the final confrontation from the original game in a place called the Edge of Creation, where Sephiroth urges Cloud to defy destiny with him. Cloud says no, and Sephiroth smiles, clearly signifying that this is exactly what he wants. This is a fight Cloud does not win. My thought, it's happening much earlier than it would have in the original game, and simply put, Cloud is not ready for this fight. Then Sephiroth says the line, 7 seconds till the end.
7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see.
Which, in my opinion, is just some Nomura bullshit. We're not supposed to know what he means, and we likely won't until the next game. But if you want my speculation, I think at one point in the next game a key choice will be made that will change something from the course of the original. Like, as an example, maybe instead of Aerith, Cloud will make a choice that may have another character be killed, because there's zero chance that if they let us save Aerith that it'll be that simple. Like, if they kill Tifa, we going for Nomura's head. But I think if they were to do something like this, it would be a player choice, not exactly Cloud's. Like, for example, if we don't save Aerith, the game would continue on like normal, but if we do save her and someone else dies, the plot changes. Don't take any of this as fact. This isn't just me spitballing ideas on what 7 seconds till the end could mean. Maybe I'll make another video after I've had time to think it over a bit more. But moving past Sephiroth, beating this boss and destroying the Whispers has this rippling effect. It cuts to Zack, who is now alive after the scene where he should have died, one of the most impactful deaths in video game history. This is the shocking scene of the ending and could be one of a few possible things, so here's my theory. This is an event meant to signify the degree of change as possible, as in this is 100% an alternate timeline where Zack survives, signified by the different looking stamp that floats by on the stamp chips bag. This is clearly a different design and they make 100% sure we notice it. This, I believe, is meant to show the degree of change as possible now that the Whispers are no longer keeping events on the same track as the original. I don't think this means that Zack was magically alive the whole time. This is purely alternate timeline symbolism and nothing more. While there are other theories which I'll get into in a second, this is the one I believe makes the most sense, and is also the least insulting to the original, since Zack's death is a major part of Cloud's character development, and since in VII Remake Cloud is absolutely the same character as the original, he must have experienced the trauma of Zack's death. Plus, he has the Buster Sword, the sword carrying on the hopes of those who fight. Zack wouldn't just give that to him for no reason. But I have heard other theories which I will address. The Flashpoint theory. Basically not an alternate timeline thing, that what the party did rippled through time in the past was actively changed, meaning Zack is alive and well now and will show up in the next game in some way. If this is the case, a lot of things don't make sense to me and I don't think this is possible. The only way I could see this happening is if the action of the party changed everything around them except themselves, as in, they've changed the entire world around them, but they themselves still remember it how it was. Meaning we've got two Buster Swords as the only evidence that the original world ever existed, and they're setting up to completely change everything. This theory is possible, I won't deny it, but it would also involve Square Enix going down a rabbit hole that I don't think they'd be willing to. I fully believe in the next game, despite what everybody else thinks, that the events are very likely going to play out exactly as they did in the original, with certain changes here and there, just like how this game did. I don't see Square Enix making drastic changes to the story just for the sake of shaking it up. They know millions of fans want to see their favorite moments recreated as they were, and despite them saying the unknown journey will continue when they cut back to the party, it once again ends exactly where we thought it would, with them vowing to hunt down Sephiroth. If they do the Flashpoint theory, and let's say Zack is alive now just to humor it, I can see the fact that Zack is alive being used as some kind of emotional roller coaster once him and Cloud come face to face. Despite me not thinking this is how they're going to handle it, the possibilities are interesting, but I just don't see them throwing away the original plot. And the last theory I want to address that I've been hearing is that this version of Sephiroth is literally the Advent Children Sephiroth traveling through time. And at this point I'm just like, what? No, there's no way. Nothing in the game suggests this other than him having knowledge of future events, and the fact that the final fight with him looks just like the fight from Advent Children. I chalk this up to a reference to the movie and nothing more. If I'm wrong and they do go this route, well, shit, that's stupid. But I do not think that's what this is. There's not enough evidence in the game to support it, and while not technically impossible, this would be the worst explanation, especially when Sephiroth clones are a thing that exists and are utilized in the game already. No matter what happens, this is something that was planned from the start that I fully believe will justify itself. What I truly believe will happen next game, the game will continue right where the original story does from there, expanded in the same way, playing out much the same way as it originally did, but just like this game, there will be some twists in key parts. I see a lot of people up in arms that Nomura is going to ruin Final Fantasy VII, and that is not the case at all. It was an incredibly Final Fantasy way of Nomura trying to throw us off. They wanted us to speculate that what's going to be different, but if you ask my opinion, I fully believe all the ones that we're looking forward to are going to be recreated with the same love and care they were in this one. Some things will be different, and I'm not opposed to it. It gives us something to speculate about and look forward to. If they do end up dropping the ball or changing something too drastically, the original game will always be there. Hell, there's even some incredible PC mods to make it look fantastic. Don't blindly bash something for being different. I'm personally excited for what's to come and incredibly curious at what kind of changes will be made. We're going to have fun for years speculating until the next part does finally come around. I hope my theories were at least somewhat entertaining to you and just maybe eased some of your concerns about the ending. Subscribe for more FF7 Remake content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
The steel sky.